Max Verstappen is now walking a razor's edge, just 1 point away from an F1 race ban, after a fiery and controversial clash with George Russell at the Spanish Grand Prix. During a tense late-race safety car restart, Verstappen, on the less grippy hard tyres, found himself under attack. First, Charles Leclerc surged past him, and then George Russell squeezed him wide at turn 1. What followed was pure drama. Told by his race engineer Giampiero Lambiase to let Russell retake the position, Verstappen obliged at turn 4, but then immediately slammed into the back of the Mercedes at turn 5 in what appeared to be a deliberate move. Race stewards weren't amused. Verstappen was slapped with a 10-second time penalty that demoted him from 5th to 10th. But more critically, he picked up 3 penalty points on his license for causing a collision, bringing his total to 11. With 12 points triggering an automatic one-race ban, the reigning world champion is now on thin ice. His earliest points won't expire until after the Austrian Grand Prix on June 30th, meaning he'll head into both the Canadian and Austrian weekends, knowing that the slightest misstep could sideline him. Should that happen, Verstappen would make unwanted history as the first reigning F1 world champion ever to serve a race ban. George Russell has no reservations in reigniting his feud with the Dutchman after the Spanish Grand Prix, saying that Max should have been disqualified for their on-track clash. The Mercedes driver claimed the reigning world champion deliberately drove into him and warned that such actions set a dangerous precedent for the next generation of drivers. My perspective is that I just got crashed into. I don't really know why or what the thinking was behind it. In the end, I'm glad that I continued with little damage, and ultimately it punished him a lot more than me. That's how Max goes racing. As I said, he was in P4, I was in P5, I ended up P4, he ended up P10, so from my side, I'm glad that I managed to finish the race. Not really sure what he was thinking because he cost himself and his team a lot of points, so no conversation is really required. And when asked if he thought the incident warranted disqualification, Russell said this: "If it was truly deliberate, then absolutely," he said. "Because you cannot deliberately crash into another driver. We are putting our lives on the line. We are fortunate the cars are as safe as they are these days, but we shouldn't take it for granted." It felt very deliberate. It is something I have seen numerous times in sim racing and go-karts. I have never seen it in a Formula One race. It felt strange, bizarre, and I really don't know what was going through his mind. Maneuvers like that are totally unnecessary. It lets him down, and it is a shame for all of the young kids looking up to us, aspiring to be Formula One drivers. When it was his turn to talk about the situation, Verstappen brushed off Russell's accusations. He insisted he had no regrets, and even took a swipe at the Brit's reaction, mocking his response by saying, "Well, I'll bring some tissues next time." Later on, he reflected some more on the crash, telling media, "I don't need to say anything about it because it doesn't matter anyway. I had a big moment there in the last corner. Unfortunately, the hard tyres had very low grip, so that was quite painful. Basically, we just ran out of tyres. In hindsight, was it better to stay out? Maybe, I don't know. It's always easy to say afterwards. Because of those hard tyres, you get into those situations. I think the strategy was good. I think it worked for us. It was the best way forward. It was racy and I liked it. Unfortunately, we didn't get the benefits at the end." When pressed about whether the collision was intentional, Verstappen chose to stay tight-lipped, making it clear he had no interest in debating the incident or getting drawn into a public spat with Russell. He has his view, I have my view. It's better not to comment. In life, you shouldn't regret too many things. I have no regrets. Their team bosses, Christian Horner and Toto Wolff, also weighed in on the dramatic showdown between Max Verstappen and George Russell. Horner was quick to share his perspective on the unfolding drama, stating that Max had a snap at the restart. Charles got alongside him, and it looked like he pulled left on him. Then George obviously tried to capitalize on that into turn 1, and it was very, very marginal. On recent experience, and looking at recent incidents, obviously it's subjective. You've asked for guidance from the FIA, from the referee. Essentially, there's nothing come back. You can see that it's been reported. It's going to the stewards. It looked for all intents and purposes that it was going to be a penalty. So, therefore, the instruction was given to Max to give that place back, which he was obviously upset about and annoyed about, because he felt that, one, he'd been left no space, and two, that George hadn't been fully in control. So, after a conversation with his engineer, he elected to give the place back at turn 5, and there was contact between the two cars. I haven't had a chance to speak to Max from his side, but obviously the stewards deemed that he caused a collision and got 10 seconds and some penalty points, unfortunately. It obviously was very frustrating, because it leaves us with 1 point 10th place out of the afternoon, what should have been an easy podium. As for Toto Wolff, this is what he said while speaking to the media in his post-race interviews. I just heard actually that Max had the call to let him pass, right? I didn't know. We were under the impression in the race that he had a problem with the car, and that's why he was so slow getting out of turn 4. I mean, if it was road rage, which I can't imagine because it was too obvious, then it's not good. But the thing is, I don't know what he aimed for. Did he want to let George pass and immediately repass, put George the car ahead? Then, like the old DRS games, letting him pass the right way? Or, for me, it's just incomprehensible. But again, I don't know exactly what the motivations were, and I don't want to jump on it and saying, this was road rage, etc. Let's see what his arguments are. It wasn't nice. There's a pattern that I've read. The great ones, whether it's in motor racing or in other sports, you just need to have the world against you and perform at the highest possible level. That's why sometimes these greats don't recognize that actually the world is not against you. It's just you have made a mistake or you've screwed up, etc., etc. So, we haven't seen any of these moments with Max for many years now. Obviously, I know the year 2021 that happened, and I don't know where it comes from. As for his other on-track tussle, Charles Leclerc pointed the finger at Max Verstappen, claiming the Dutchman tried to squeeze him during a tense late race incident. The two made contact following the safety car restart and were promptly summoned to the stewards for a review. Leclerc, who had been running a distant fourth, suddenly found himself back in podium contention when a safety car reshuffled the deck. Red Bull pitted Verstappen for hard tyres, the only compound he had left, while Ferrari seized the moment, fitting Leclerc with softs that had only seen a single qualifying lap. It was a strategic masterstroke. Verstappen, already fuming over team radio, had a wild moment at turn 14 as the race resumed, managing to hang onto his car but leaving just enough of a gap for Leclerc to pounce. As the Ferrari surged alongside, the two touched wheels in a flash of drama. Verstappen accused Leclerc of ramming into him, while Leclerc saw it differently, suggesting it was Verstappen who edged across into his path. I probably would have been very vocal if it was the other way around, the Monegasque said. Because you are fighting for the third place, so he was just trying everything to get that third place back. And I think he knew that on track it would be very difficult with the tyres he was on. Honestly, I don't have any particular feeling about it. There was nothing special. I overtook on the inside. He tried to squeeze me on the dirty side of the track. Then I had the upper hand because I had more speed because of the mistake he had done. And then I was trying to take the slipstream of the McLaren. Went a tiny bit to the left. He didn't seem to want to move at all. We touched a little bit, but there was nothing. From the moment when I knew that Max was on a hard tyre, I was like, okay, that's not a great tyre to be on for the last 5 laps, especially if there's no battery saving or whatsoever. Max went with a lot of commitment in the last corner, lost the rear in the exit, and then I was basically side by side, and I was very happy to take the third place. Now that we've heard from them, let me hear from you. Was Max Verstappen driving recklessly, or was it just good, hard racing? Let's argue in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest in the world of F1.